All right, so Jim Harbaugh is finally returning to the NFL, and it's something that I feel bittersweet about because the NFL is better with Jim Harbaugh in it, but so is college football. And this show started as a college football show, so college football losing Jim Harbaugh is a travesty, but it's benefiting another league that I love dearly, so that's great. The LA Chargers are hiring Jim Harbaugh, and I think this is a fantastic hire. I think it's a fantastic pairing, and I'm going to explain why in this video. The Chargers conducted an extensive head coaching search after moving on from Brandon Staley. They wanted to be really intentional about it. They were in mid December when Brandon Staley was fired after that absolute dumpster fire with Thursday night game against the Raiders. The the Chargers had hit rock bottom. They were looking for answers. They were fed up. They were frustrated, and they wanted to make sure they were determined to get this head coaching selection right. So the Spanos family made it very clear that they're willing to spend money. They're willing to give a head coach a lucrative contract, and they're willing to lure anybody in who would be a great match for the job. They need a ripple effect. They need somebody that's going to move the needle, and they found one. But before hiring Jim Harbaugh, they had interviewed an extensive list of 15 candidates. Some of those candidates include Steve Wilkes, Todd Monken, Leslie Frazier, Ben Johnson. They interviewed a lot of big names before settling on Jim Harbaugh. But I think that Jim Harbaugh is the best choice possible for the LA Chargers because Jim Harbaugh is one of the most transformative coaches that the game has ever seen. And he has the resume to prove it. Look at what he did at Stanford. He took a Stanford team that didn't really have an identity, that was in the basement of the Pac 12. What did he do? He brought them to the Orange Bowl. The San Francisco 49ers. I played a lot of Madden when I was a young lad and growing up in the 2000s. Madden 04, Madden 05, 06, 07, 08, so on and so forth. The 49ers, a lot of those games, they're 4 and 12, 3 and 13. They were pretty sorry. And Jim Harbaugh comes along. The Niners bring him in. Within his first year coaching, Jim Harbaugh has him in the NFC Championship. And they're a fumbling overtime away from going to the Super Bowl that year. The following year, they're in the Super Bowl playing the Ravens. They just barely lose. The following year, they're back in the NFC Championship playing the Seahawks. 3 straight NFC championships Jim Harbaugh had that 49ers team that was struggling before he had them there. Michigan, another perennially great blue blood college football program that had lost its way. It lost its sense of culture. It needed to be revitalized. It had really become the laughingstock of the Big Ten for a while. I remember those times. I remember being in middle school and people would make fun of the maize and blue. Bring Jim Harbaugh in, and you could see the needle move in the first year. Granted, they didn't make the college football playoff, but you could see the needle move within the first year Jim Harbaugh had that kind of impact. He eventually achieved his goal. Michigan went to 3 straight college football playoffs. They eventually won the national championship this year. Jim Harbaugh finally made it to the mountaintop. He got his ring. He did what he said he was going to do at Michigan. He achieved his goal. He brought his alma mater a national championship. And now he's moving on to the NFL, to a team that hopes that he can have the same transformative impact on them. Now let's talk about the Chargers, how this is going to impact them. The Chargers are a team that has experienced bursts of success throughout history. There's been years they've been 14-2. They've played in Super Bowls. They've played in AFC championships. They've been close to winning it all. They have tasted, they've flirted with success. But they haven't gotten that championship yet. They haven't gotten that Super Bowl ring yet. And that's something that fan base really longs for. And they know that they're capable of it. They've had all those chances, but it's never manifested into that championship. A positive that the Chargers have right now is they've drafted the right QB1. Justin Herbert is the guy. It's unquestioned. He's a fantastic talent. He has an absolute rocket of an arm. Has a lot of great attributes for a quarterback, and I think that he is someone that can take that team deep into the playoffs. He's needed that right head coaching pairing for a while. A lot of coaches that enter the NFL, they don't inherit a quarter. They don't inherit a starting quarterback, let alone somebody who is capable of taking you to the promised land. Somebody who is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in his conference. You have that in Justin Herbert. So that is a positive. But there are several negatives. The Chargers right now are $27.5 million over the salary cap. It's not a lot for Jim Harbaugh to work with when it comes to free agency. You want to build a team. Yes, you have a talented quarterback. Yes, you have a capable quarterback. And that's already half of the problem. Because like I said, a lot of coaches come in to the NFL, they have to draft a quarterback. And hopefully it pans out. And if it doesn't pan out, usually they get axed. Jim Harbaugh doesn't have to worry about that. But he doesn't have to worry about the salary cap situation. It's not ideal. It's really not ideal. And who's in that division? Who's in the AFC West? Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Kansas City Chiefs. And Sean Payton is building a hell of a culture in Denver, too. It's brick by brick, but he's building a hell of a culture. That team will be no cupcake here soon. And Antonio Pierce has galvanized the Raiders, and that team is bought into him. So I want to see what that team looks like going into this season as well. So you've got competition. You've got an unfavorable salary cap situation, but you have that quarterback situation figured out. And that right there is half the battle. I don't think that Jim Harbaugh is walking into as favorable of a situation they walked into with San Francisco, because San Francisco had cap room when Jim Harbaugh got there, so he had something to work with. This isn't as favorable. It'll be a slower build, but I believe that with time, Jim Harbaugh will be able to have this team competitive, competing for an AFC Championship, competing for a Super Bowl. He has that capability. Lastly, the Chargers. The Chargers have had a lot of talent in these past several years. What they haven't had is an edge. I don't feel swagger when I watch that team. You see swagger in the Chiefs. You see swagger in the Bills. You see swagger in the Ravens, their AFC counterparts. I don't see swagger in the Chargers. They're just talented. What has every Jim Harbaugh team had? Those Niners teams in the early 2010s, those Michigan teams, those Stanford teams as he went later into his tenure there with the Cardinal. What did they all have? Swagger. Edge. They played with tenacity. I think you're going to see the Chargers exude that same energy. And that to me is going to be fascinating. I think there's a lot of untapped potential on that team. And I'm just curious to see what that manifests into. We've talked about Jim Harbaugh. We've talked about the Chargers. Why I think that's going to be a great match. They need each other. You have a team that really craves success at the top level, that wants to be the cream de la cream, that knows they can win a Super Bowl, wants to hire the right coach to get it. Jim Harbaugh wants to return to the NFL, wants another project, another team to transform. He's got that. It's a great match. Synergy here. Synergy. Well, let's talk about Michigan. Since the show was founded on college football, let's talk about Michigan. It's not a great day to be a Michigan alum, a Michigan student, a Michigan fan. Not a great day to be in Ann Arbor. We at the University of Alabama have had to deal with this for the past 2 weeks. There will be somewhat of a transfer portal exodus with Michigan, and it's going to be the same policy that was implemented here at Alabama. It'll probably be that 30-day window where student athletes can enter the transfer portal, transfer to a different school, and get enrolled there. And I just really think that this whole phenomenon is going to be an awakening for the state of college football, because this can't keep going on, because it's going to be a vicious cycle. Because Michigan now lost Jim Harbaugh. There's a chance that Sharon Moore may be the next head coach, but that's not confirmed yet. Michigan may poach a head coach from another institution. Then that institution will have to find another head coach, and they'll have to open up their transfer portal, and then they'll poach another head coach from another institution, and they'll have to open their transfer portal, and those students will have a 30-day window. So, and this could keep going on until March or April. Newsflash: the semester ends in May. So there has to be some kind of guardrail, some kind of regulation with this as time goes on, and I think that this year has been a real eye opener when it comes to that. Players will be flowing out of Michigan. Will they be flowing out of Michigan at the rate that they were at Alabama? I'm not sure, because Alabama was an intriguing situation because it was not exactly a known fact that Nick Saban was be retiring. People had inklings just because of his age. It was going to happen at some time. It was inevitable. But not a lot of people expect it to be this year. Most people in Ann Arbor, most people within the program in Michigan expected this to happen. And it did. So I think a lot of players would have transferred already. But nonetheless, now that it has happened, you will still see some players enter the transfer portal. So yes, there will be a thinning out. There will be diluting of talents in Michigan compared to last year. You see Ohio State leveling up. I'm going to address that in a later video. But it's currently, kind of like Alabama, it's not the ideal situation for Michigan, but it's something that with their brand and with their credibility and the support that they get from boosters and alumni, the financial capital that they have, they will be able to rebound faster than other programs would be able to in this same situation. So that is that. Jim Harbaugh is now the Chargers coach. Let's let that sink in. Let's let that marinate. It's exciting news that impacts a lot of different teams and a lot of different people. So let's see how this thing unfolds. Have a great day. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you and the time that you took out of your day to watch the video. And if you enjoyed it, please be sure to like the video and share it, as well as subscribe to The Era. The more likes and subscribers I get on this channel, the more resources I can attain, and the more resources I can attain, the more value I can provide to you, the viewer. And that is how I show my appreciation for you for the time that you devote to watching my videos. So thank you so much, and have a great day.